So what we have going on today is we're going to be making a slow cooked lasagna in the crock pot. We're going to make it healthy, delicious, make it a little bit better than if you just go to a restaurant. They slap a bunch of butter on it. We're going to show you how to get that going. It's going to take, roughly about 3-4 hours to cook it down. But it's a good, healthy, nutritious way. It gives you a lot of flavor, but we're also going to be cooking it healthy. Show you how to cut some of those calories to kind of keep you going in the right direction. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to heat up the pan and add some EVOO. Probably turn up to about 5. Get a little warm. We're going to brown the meat first, and we're going to use some lean ground beef to kind of get it nice juicy flavor for this lasagna in the slow cooker. So as you can see, we're going to be using 93.7 lean ground beef. Just kind of put in the package. You want to make sure you have the pan on a high enough temperature, that way it gets a nice sear to it. So we're going to turn it up to about 7. You want to make sure you don't have any chunks. You have it nice and smooth to where it cooks evenly. You don't want to get too much to where you get a burn flavor. We're also going to cook out some of the fat from it. That way we don't have a lot of fat. We're going to drain it right after. Make sure we don't get that into the lasagna. We're just going to let that cook for a minute while we prepare the other ingredients. So what we're going to go ahead and do is crack this egg. It calls for 1 egg. Make sure not get any of the eggshell in there. We don't want to have that in the food. And go ahead and I'm going to take out a small fork. We're going to whisk this and break it apart. Get it all mixed together. You don't want to have it too much whisk. Get a nice mixture in there. You can see all that fat bubbling out of it right quick. That just shows us that it's going to be nice and lean to where we don't have a lot of fat and ruin the flavor of the lasagna when it's all said and done. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and drain the meat. Use this nice. Make sure you get all the meat out. Okay. And let that sit for a second. Now we're going to rinse it out. Get all the fat that might be built into the meat. Now we're going to go add it back. So now we're going to add it back in. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add 24 ounces of spaghetti sauce into the mixture. What we're going to use here is we're going to use a local favorite of ours, Monjuni's. It's a nice sweet spaghetti sauce. That should really make this have very sweet and good flavor for the lasagna. We're also going to add a cup of the water and egg mixture with cottage cheese and the Italian cheese into this mixture. And let it cook and simmer for a minute while I get the crock pot ready with the lasagna noodles. So let me just mix this in real quick so it can start soaking in the flavor into the meat. So what I went ahead and did is I measured a cup with a measuring cup of water, and then I poured it back into the glass jar that the sauce came out of to make sure we get every ounce of the spaghetti sauce. Like I talked about, adding in the egg. One thing we are leaving out of this is parsley, because not everybody eating this can have parsley due to allergies. But now what we're going to add is 15 ounces of ricotta cheese. Try to use the skim. It just turns out a little bit better. It's a little bit better for your calories consumption and for the fat. There it comes. Alright, so now we're going to break that apart and into the mixture. So as you can see, I didn't exactly think that the mixture was going to make this much. This is my first time making it. So, having a little spillage on the outside of the pan, which is fine. It's always, you know, you're cooking right if you have a little bit of overflow where, you know, you're not exact. That's the art of cooking, is always have a little bit. We have some, I'm just going to use a twirl effect here to kind of get it mixed throughout the whole way. I'm just trying to mix in that ricotta cheese and that egg all the way through. I think I have a good mixture there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add in the Italian cheese. What we're going to do here is we're going to measure out 1.5 cups of the Kraft Italian cheese, and we're also going to add 2 tablespoons of grated Parmesan cheese. I'm just going to go with that's the half real quick. And then we're going to go ahead and get the 2 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese. I'm always a lover of cheese, so I'm actually going to make it 3 tablespoons instead of the standard 2 that the recipe calls for. Just adds a little bit extra, you know, that you usually don't get out of it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to mix that all in, all that cheese. Let it just cook down for a little bit. And always when you have measuring cups full of cheese, you're going to have the little puppy in the house follow you around. So it always works out to have somebody to enjoy even the mess ups. So now that we have that layer covered, we're going to do the same thing. Add a second layer of the lasagna. Same thing, we're going to do a cup and a fourth. Make sure it's completely covered, like I said. And then I'm just going to take the rest and I'm going to spread it over the top. So what we're going to do now is we'll go ahead and plug the slow cooker in. And we're turning it on low and we're going to cook it for between 4 and 6 hours. So I can get it plugged in here. Once I get it, there we go. We're going to turn the slow cooker on. There we go. Let it sit for 4 to 6. Set our timer.